So, for those of you who are a bit earlier on the YouTube stream, this is well, we're gearing up to go live on slayradio.org, which is the traditional audio output. So hang in there. Show will start in about 8 minutes in. See you in a bit. Just a friendly reminder for those tuned in on the YouTube stream. The show will commence in about 5 minutes. I really should have. I should update this idle screen on in the C64 thing to count down to that as well. Like it's a shame it's not doing that. That would be pretty cool. But food for thought. Anyway, I'll be right back. see if I can remember audience pandering. Loading, ready, run. Let's see who's here. LP Chip, Shargo, and me. All lovely people, I would agree. Hi, hello, welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Me and you and the like 2 other people. It's probably gonna be a very small, intimate show, so please feel free to really lean into your speaker and just really enjoy a very, very close and comforting show together with me. It's a Sunday show with Kazoo. Hello, how are you doing? I'm doing pretty good. Man, it's been a while. It's been a long fucking man. Yeah, and I really should. I should have a cleaner show. It's been a while. Hello. I hope you're doing well. I'm happy to be back. And I guess I should probably mention for Shargo and LP Chip, who's joining, that despite the website, and that is planmixplay.com for those of you who don't know, that website actually shows a live stream of some visuals attached. So if you're keen on watching the show while listening to the show, you can do that there. But the website isn't kind enough to notify you if the stream goes up. It just kind of waits till 8 and hopes that I didn't mess things up. I think LP Chip and Shargo, you guys might have been hanging around waiting for the countdown to drop, but the stream was available for, I think at least 5 to 10 minutes before the show started. But now you know, and I know, and everyone knows, and everything's great. A little bit of house cleaning. I did have a big script that I've been fleshing out going into the show, but then I decided to throw it all aside and just kind of wing it a little bit. I do have a bunch of stuff to talk about. And no, LP Chip, that doesn't work still. And hey, to Zatufli, who's writing in on the shout box. Now I actually have, so one thing I can say up front is I have 3 damn screens. I have the actual output show on the right. In fact, why don't I show you guys while this music is running? This should still work. Let's see here. If I do this, and I do that, and I do this, here we go. I'm up in the corner now. You can see me up in the corner chat. So there's basically a screen right here. That's where the camera is. That's where the live feed is. Then there's a screen here, and you can see the side of that. That's this ugly, horrible panel. That's the second screen. And then there's yet another one even further over there, and you can't see that at all. But that's where I'm looking at 2 of the 3 chats. God, it's a lot of chats. Maybe too many, but you know, I've kind of done this to myself. As you can tell, I'm really getting in the groove of things already, chatting up a storm, because this is what people love about my show. They love me flapping my big fat mouth and my gums, as far as, and maybe, what do we have? Is there another, my noise hole, I think? A little bit of a reference from watching Futurama. Anyway, let's cut the camera in 3, 2, 1. There we go. And now that the camera's gone and you guys are listening in, because, you know, it is an audio show after all, we're going to kick it off with a request by Shargo. Man, it's been so long, guys. I'm happy to be back. Let's take it away with Dax and Thundercats. yes, you're right, Leah. Bread hole is a good one. Hello, by the way. And there we had a bit of Dax with Thundercats, the Dax remix. Very appropriately named. God, these headphones, I'm telling you what, let's start the rant. So first of all, 64 listeners, that's got to be a sign that we have 60 plus 4 listeners. It's pretty much what it's a sign of. Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to PMP versus Massive Comeback Special, which isn't actually that special because you know me probably by now. I keep talking about building big stuff and I'm preparing this and I'm getting that ready. And admittedly, I hope you would agree that over the past year or two, that improvements have happened. Now there's this, visual thing going on, which admittedly, a lot of you are probably like, yeah, but what I care about is the audio. Why don't you have a bed? Why isn't there this? Why isn't there that? And yeah, look, I get it. We talked about this, or I've certainly talked about it at length before. I sort of go with whatever captures my fancy because the amount of time I sink into this, I have to do what is fun because otherwise it'll be crazy. But these headphones, they're fun, but not as fun as they should be. So I'm using I think they're called the Artemis. It's like Logitech's, I guess, mid-range, because I don't think I'd call any of Logitech stuff high-end or high-range. Anyway, it's their mid-end wireless headset. And there is, I think, a 533 model, and this is the 933. It's their quote-unquote deluxe edition. But there are two things that bothers me tremendously with them. One of them is the on-off button. It has started becoming a bit wonky. Like when I turn them on, I suddenly only get a bit of audio in the left speaker, but a lot of audio on the right one. And so far, it seems like the easiest fix for that is to just flick the power switch back and forth, and then it'll kind of settle correctly. But I've read about other owners of this particular hardware, and one of them was like, yeah, it's a switch that is known to like get a bit wobbly after a year or two. So here's a video of me opening it up with a screwdriver and kind of bending it back in place. Which, I don't know, I feel like because this headset costs about $200, which would be around 1,000 Swedish or Danish kroner, something along those lines. I would sort of hope that it wouldn't start wigging out after a year or two of use. I find that's not long enough at all. But hey, what are you gonna do? And another thing that really bothers me is there's this, like, in fact, I wish I didn't have this crappy C64 style camera, because then I could actually show you. Why don't we try it? You know, we have this camera ability. Let's see, at worst, it just won't work. Oh no, I forgot. I forgot that I cannot reuse that video. In fact, I'm gonna have to do, hold on everyone. There. So let's see if I can show you. Probably won't help that much, but let's see. There's like a wheel. I don't know if you can see that at the bottom of this camera thing. It's probably very hard to see, but there is a wheel. Anyway, that wheel is supposed to determine whether or not you turn the volume up or down while wearing these headphones. But it's as if they've designed it in such a way that you can trick the wheel into thinking you're actually turning the volume up, even though you're trying to turn it down. And I'm sure there's a reasonable mechanical explanation why. But yeah, that has happened to me very often, that I have to then slowly turn the wheel down to turn the volume down, actually. And Shargo pitches in his 2 cents and says, hey, just buy a headset with a cable, no batteries or switches. And you know, I love the non-corded thing, to be honest. It's yeah, I don't know. Maybe other broadcasters can, and it's not, you know, it's not super important, but it is really nice to not have a damn cord attached to the side of your headphones. Like when I DJ, yes, I would usually absolutely use a corded one, never have gone wireless. But when I'm doing these shows, it's really nice to be able to disconnect. Anyway. Yeah, there's more to say. Slay Radio has changed a little bit. A few things have happened, but why don't we take a request? Because we just played one from Shargo, and LP Chip had a bunch. And look, LP Chip, I have some good news and I have some bad news. So the good news is I can totally do you a Moog Jazz Cat. The bad news is apparently LP Chip, for those of you who do not know, LP Chip's a bit of an artisan as well, and does a bit of music. And has made a new remix since my last show, which, come on, it's kind of like, you know, several months ago. I thought you would have that album out by now, LP Chip. Come on, get your head in the game. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so he's made a new remix, but it's not encoded in it's not encoded with 44,100 hertz. I presume it's probably 48,000 hertz, and I cannot convert that frequency. It's not as if it's super hard to do, but it's way easier to keep it simple and straight. So yeah, when I tried to load that song, PMP went, "Hey, I cannot. That's not 44. It's not 44.1. Can't do that." So yeah, sorry about that, but we'll figure it out. You know, I can always pre-convert it for the next show. But hey, on the bright side, at least Plan Mix Play did not just crash. It instead actually said like, "Hey, I can't load this." Which is, you know, step forward. So instead, just for you, LP Chip, I have lined up your first request, which is Moog with a little bit of Jazz Cat, the 007 version.
I've been asking for you all morning. Where in the world are you, Jay?
Well, I've just been reviewing an old case.
Oh, so I'm an old case now, am I?
The office. Tell him I'm on my way, will you?
He is not on his way.
Behave. We'll do this again some other time soon.
Still walking. Last time you said that, you went off to Jamaica. Seen you for 6 months.
Over there now.
Hey, you're okay.
Alrighty, that was a little bit of Moog, Sebastian Bachlinski with Jazz Cat 007, and LP Chip gives a shout out to Morty, Leah Slagon, wait, where do you write this? Over here, Giel Chelta, and Mock, and Sonic Wanderer, who are outside at Datastorm listening into the show. God, that's, on the one hand, quite an honor, and on the other hand, my deepest apologies, because holy shit, listening to me is, God. Hey, look at the bright side. You have reached the low point of your day, and from now, it can only get better. Like, well, it's going to get better in about 40 minutes and 1 hour. So, hey, you know, it's not all bad. Yeah, they're hanging out at Datastorm, as I understand. And I do still fondly remember hanging out at one of the gatherings, which was very awesome to get to do. Maybe at some point in the future again. And also, I'm still very grateful for Slagon for housing my cheap bum ass in Sweden, which was also really, really nice of him. And hey, he continues to let me do shows, which must mean that, you know, something's not crazy. And apparently Ziona also corrects and says, hey, you're not Datastorm, you're at Slagon's house, which is very lovely. Perhaps listening in the basement? I don't know. That's at least where a lot of the audio equipment was. which I presume Slagon is okay with me revealing to the rest of the world. It's barely, it barely counts as doxing. It's like doxing someone's audio equipment. It's like it's kept in the living room, but not. Slagon's living room isn't in the basement. Anyway, enough of Slagon's living arrangements and Slagon's hardware. I feel there's a very lowbrow joke to be made there, but I'm rusty. I don't have those jokes at the ready. In fact, I'm happy that I just even have requests. And again, another correction. I was once again erroneous in my assumptions. Siona says they're in Slagon's living room, which I feel compelled to now say what else it houses. But no, we're not gonna get into that. It's a very nice house. Anyway, there are things that have changed. So last time I did a show, Boz Radio was a thing, and my understanding is it's grown to be a bigger thing. And I think that, oh no, of course not, LP Chip. They don't go out of their, you forgot the word sex in front of dungeon, but sure. Dungeon, basement. LP Chip, speaking of LP Chip, apparently appeared in a show on Boz Radio, and that's the thing. Maybe you can help me figure out here, LP Chip. Is Z Duder another what's the right word? I want to say a better word than nickname, because there are other. God, I'm gonna, you know what? Just to fill time, that shows how little I have to say. I'm gonna go on thesaurus.com. And I'm going to type in nickname, and it's going to tell me the thing I want that isn't nickname. Epithet? Moniker? Denomination? Bywin? What? No, none of these are the one. This is ridiculous. Thesaurus.com, you've done nothing but hurt me. I'm embarrassed in front of all my listeners. I'll sigh. Let's just take another request. Shargo, you were kind enough to put up quite a few, so we're taking another one from you. Rauli Delta with Barrett Supreme, or that's the version name. I have not heard this one before. It's all new to me, so let's check it out.
crash, ladies and gentlemen, the smoke and the flames now, and the flames crashing to the ground, not quite to the pouring mass. All the humanity and all the fantasy screaming around. I don't, I can't talk to people. There's friends are out there. I can't talk, ladies and gentlemen. Honest, it's just like that massive fucking record.
I wasn't. Uh, is- uh, I wasn't quite sure if that was over. Yeah, I mean, I can see by the audio waveform here that that something was kind of ending, but yeah. Also, the great leader, Slagon, he mentioned that him, Sonic Wanderer, Leah, Morty, Xenomorph, and Gear Chelta are all listening, and I gotta say, this is my opportunity to gush a little bit and fanboy a little bit without actually them having the negative side of me standing in front of them. So it's done by airwaves, but certainly a big fan of a number of artists in that particular room, wherever they're sitting, doing, I guess, whatever it is you do. Drink beer, I guess, eat chips, laugh at me, all the above. And speaking of people who were hanging about, maybe also drinking beer and eating chips and definitely laughing at me, was Leah, who was in the chat very briefly, and then she kind of popped out. So she popped in, and then she popped back out. So it turns out she also couldn't stop. It's a terrible reference, even though now she came back again. So she certainly can't stop popping. There has been made a request with her name on it. That is to say, she didn't request it, but someone else did, which happened to be Ziona. Ziona said that, hey, I might want to play Disgrace, the Dreamers remix, because that might catch Leah off guard. And yes, catching people off guard is one of my absolute favorite things to do. Ziona, you and I are of one mind. It is Leah with Disgrace Dreamers remix. Take it away, Leah.
They
Leah with Disgrace Dreamers remix requested by Ziona. So kudos on Leah for putting together such an awesome tune. Kudos to Ziona for requesting it. And a punch in the crotch for me for playing it. Seems fair. I have another song lined up, and I don't know, I can't quite, sometimes people get very clever with their requestings, and I'm like, I'm not sure if they're actually referring to this particular tune. Yeah, so this is, so Ziona and Co. And once Leah's song ended, she vacated. It's not unlike a person who shows up at a poetry slam and then does their bit, and when their bit is over, it's like, I'm out. And then Leah comes back again. I shamed her into returning. And she left again. God, people are, fickle audience these days, really. It's like you crack a joke, they come back, and then you crack another poorer joke, and then they leave. Anyway, all good fun. So Ziona and Co. requested, I'm going to read this verbatim because I'm not sure if they mean what I think they mean. So it says, Ziona and Co. say, "Hi Gazoo, delighted to hear you again, smiley face. I would like to request Morty of the Year because he has no idea I do it at the moment and Data Storm was a great party." So I'm not sure what you mean when you say do it, what it is in this case. And when you say you want Morty of the Year, I'm presuming you mean Morty with Party of the Year? I don't know. I'm not sure, but that's what you're going to get. And then I'm going to remove this request because I'm convinced that's what you wanted. Yeah, maybe you're right. LP Chip says, hey, maybe her internet is broken. Yes, that's totally possible. So apart from getting rid of the script that I had, why don't I rustle? Let's do a little bit of Foley work here. See, here I have this is the sound. Paper makes this noise. That means that I'm throwing the script out. That's what that means. There was a thing that came across my radar that I did want to have a word or two about because it's so stupid. It's ridiculous. It's this, and it's sort of relevant kind of to Slay Radio because Slay Radio happens to be in Sweden. And by me saying that, I'm sure you maybe have a slight idea that I might be talking about the ASAP Rocky thing. And I don't even know if his name pronounced ASAP Rocky or is it ASAP Rocky? It kind of doesn't matter. American rapper who's been jailed a bit for a month and has now been let go. But there's still a court case proceeding where he needs to do a thing. Where basically they've yet to decide on what the verdict is in that case. And I'm going to talk about this a bit after the show because I have a thought or two. And LP Chip, I'm fully aware that Plan Mix Play does not run HTBS. That isn't good, but it's also a bit down on the list of priorities. It is creeping up there because I get as soon as I allow someone to log in, you'd ideally want secure login. So yeah, that is unfortunately sort of, I wouldn't say by design, but currently by choice and lack of time. All right, let's have this the song Morty Party of the Year, the Bonzax remix, I suppose.
It's only rocking through the stratosphere. It's the party of the year. The party of the year. In full gear, rocking through the stratosphere. I guess we're ready to fly higher, higher, high. It's the party of the year. The party of the year. In full gear, rocking through the stratosphere. In full gear, rocking through the stratosphere.
Woo! Lots of enthusiastic clapping there for Morty Party of the Year, which I presume is what Ziona and Co wanted, and maybe what she meant when she said she do it at, or that she do it at the moment. And Data, I know I for a moment I was like, maybe Ziona meant that she played that song at Data Storm, but nope, I still don't understand. Sorry, Ziona. But thank you for your requests. That's for damn sure. I have a thing. I have some stuff to talk about. Let's just get this one thing out of the way because it's the active thing. Talking about SSL and HTTPS, and indeed, it is my own server. Things run on LP chips, so it's not. That is to say, I don't manage it, but even just getting Laravel and the underlying routes to support that stuff. I would say, if it's fast, it would take me about a day, but half of that is me understanding exactly what it entails, because I don't know I know, the difference between HTTP and HTTPS for university subject, but it totally takes, I would say, at least half a day for me to get into and do, and I have half a day is a lot of time currently for me, so it's unfortunately not a switch I can just flick. Trust me, if it was, I would have done it. Anyway. But it is a good thing. There's a good reason all sites are moving towards it, and there's also a good reason, I would say, that Chrome is now showing like a bit of a red warning flag when you go on any website that's just HTTP, because yes, it is unencrypted data. It shouldn't be that way. So moving forward, I just wanted to say a word or two about ASAP Rocky. So, for those of you not in the know, this particular American rapper did a show in Sweden. I don't have the exact dates for you exactly when that happened because, hey, I'm not anywhere near a legitimate news source. But he did a show, and then after the show, here's the thing. In fact, I think it's more interesting to talk to the story from the viewpoint of maybe a large part of the internet. Basically, ASAP Rocky shared a video of a slightly violent interaction he had with someone who was following him. And from the video that he shared, it basically, what you see is there's this other dude who kind of seems to be following them around. Clearly there's some beef there, like he's upset about something, but it isn't immediately clear from the video itself. The thing you do see in the video, however, is that at some point this guy kind of seems to try and strike out, like lash out or take a swing with his headphones in his hand at the bouncer, and the headphones gets kind of smashed. And then there was another video that came out of ASAP Rocky and his crew beating the shit out of this guy. And the general message from ASAP Rocky was like, hey, this dude was just harassing us for no reason at all. He was just following us. And also, by the way, he was being creepy and like following ladies around. So basically putting this dude in a very negative light. And you might not be shocked to hear that representation isn't maybe the most objective one. There has been a couple of, I would say, documents leaked about what the prosecution, because this is a case that's gone to court, because this gentleman who was following them around was beat quite severely. So an actual court case has ensued. And my understanding of it is that he, again, this is my view, understanding. One of the documents show that the very first interaction between ASAP Rocky and this other gentleman was outside of a burger joint, where he allegedly went over to them and tried to figure out if they'd seen his friend. Now, I myself have been on occasion near people of some celebrity status, and I have both witnessed and myself to some degree experienced that some of the people surrounding the celebrities are, let's just say, somewhat overly protective and not aggressive, but certainly not very welcoming in terms of anyone they feel they don't know who gets near the talent. Which I get. Hey, people are freaky and will, for all kinds of reasons, try to run up on talented or famous individuals. So I'm not saying they shouldn't be on their toes. But from the documents that have been released, where you see some screenshots of a security camera from that burger joint, it does appear as though the very first sort of aggressive move comes from the bouncer. That he tries to tell this dude to go away, and because he just doesn't do that, the bouncer apparently lifts him up by his neck and sort of chokes him out a bit, and apparently wrecks a bit of his headphones. And this is why the guy subsequently just doesn't let that go and follows them around, because he wants the names, he wants some sort of accountability, which, hey, if you get manhandled and roughed up for no other reason than you were standing in a place someone didn't want you to stand, I have to admit, I can find that quite I'm quite understanding of that. That being said, though, the video also clearly shows that this other dude is let's just say he doesn't take provocation well either. If the bouncer and the rest of ASAP Rocky's crew had just said to this dude initially, sorry, we don't know where your friend is, can't help you out. We wish we could, but we can't. And then, but I imagine, and this is kind of speculation on my part, I imagine the first interaction was, no, we don't know where your friend is, leave us alone. Or maybe even, no, we don't know where your friend is, fuck off. And there are people who just that alone will, instead of taking a hint that these people really don't want to be bothered, will then instead, go, what the fuck did you say to me? And there you go. Now you have something that'll slowly escalate, and eventually someone will, yes, make the first move. And the really disappointing part to me above all of this is how, the politics that come out of it, like Donald Trump stepping into the ring and tweeting at the Prime Minister of Sweden to be like, I hope we can get this guy out of jail soon and fix all this, which is like, well, maybe you should inform yourself a little bit about why this guy is actually in jail and what it's all about. But hey, that's a larger political discussion, and I've yacked on for very long already, 6-7 minutes. Let's have a bit of Peter W. with Outrun No Speed Limit Remix. Peter W. with a little bit of Outrun No Speed Limit remix. And god damn it, there my headphones did that again. Whenever I'm coming back, sometimes... Let's peel back the curtain a little bit here for the listeners or the viewers as well and tell you that sometimes when I'm coming back from the song, I sometimes delay a little bit, and that's sometimes because I'm fiddling with the audio on my headset because I don't want to hear myself in my ears when I'm talking, basically. And when I then pause oddly in the first sentence, that's my goddamn stupid headset turning the volume up as I'm turning the knob on it down. Like, it's ridiculous. And this has happened since from purchasing the stupid piece of crap. So I don't know if it's a design flaw. I own 2 of them, and they both exhibit it. So I'm tempted to say that it's not actually busted. It's just bad design, unfortunately. So you have to go slow. Holy crap, LP Chip, you have quite a bit to say. Oh man, we're talking a bit about HTTPS and when HTTP will basically be turned off, or what's going on, and basically my viewpoint is it's going to be a while. Like I fully wholeheartedly support HTTPS. It should totally be the default. There are some places where it's more relevant than others. Like I'll give you a good example. If your bank does not support HTTPS, you should not. That is enough of a disqualifying property for you to not use that bank. It's simply too risky. Because basically, for people who are a bit less tech minded, the difference between HTTPS and HTTP is the one with the S on it basically means that communication between you and the server, the web server, is encrypted, whereas when it's HTTP, it is not. And the S stands for secure, if I'm not mistaken. Which effectively means on PlanMixPlay.com, when you log in, your password is sent in an unencrypted state. So you might wonder, well, that's just PlanMixPlay. What harm can that do? And I agree, like, A, I'm so small that I'm completely insignificant and not a target. And B, if someone were to log in on your account on PlanMixPlay, the worst they could do is abuse your username during a show, for example, or maybe they could take away, they could change the password and you can't log into your own account and then your username is gone. But the reason it still becomes important is because humans are not great at remembering passwords, so they tend to repeat the same password a lot of times. And even though password managers are now very popular and something you should definitely, totally, absolutely use, a lot of people still just, do not, and instead use a sort of slightly complicated but generic password, and they use the same thing everywhere. So then the problem becomes, if someone is listening in on your connection and you have used the password for, PlanMixPlay.com that you use for something more important, now you have a problem. Now all of a sudden the password you've used for PlanMixPlay.com is out in the open, and since your email is usually your login as well, that sort of amplifies the problem, because it means now any place that then logs in with your email as well, they now have your password for it too. So use a password manager. That is generally just overall advisable. It makes things a lot better. Right, we've LP Chip has come through and provided me with a 44.1 kilohertz version of his last V8 version. Leah continues her non-stop popping. She's definitely going to win the Schrodinger's Cat Award at the end of the show, because sometimes she's here and sometimes she isn't. You never know, really. She comes and goes constantly. And yeah, LP Chip made a version of the last V8, and I also appreciate, he said he made some mention of PlanMixPlay on the Z-Duders show, and apparently Z-Duder, according to LP Chip, I think Shargo chimed in on this too, does a show on Boz Radio. Well, that's obvious, because I just said that, LP Chip was on there mentioning this program. But apparently Z-Duder's family does shows, as in like his kid and his wife and his dog and his pet hamster, and even his mailman gets in on the action. And apparently also his 8th grade physics teacher has a show on Boz Radio. Fucking everybody has a show. Except for me, Boz. What the fuck's up with that? What's wrong with me? Huh? Here's LP Chip with the last V8. Chill out mix. I have a phone call to make. LP Chip there with a rendition of the last V8 Chill Out mix, brought to you in glorious 44.1 kilohertz across a bunch of TCP packets through not HTTP, through what's it called, Shoutcast, I believe, probably, or over YouTube, who knows, one or the other. I see we have about 58 listeners, so I've lost a few in my twists and turns, but hey, them's the breaks. Thank you again, LP Chip, for requesting that. Lovely. 1 hour down, 1 to go, guys. We can do this. Oh, and speaking of we can do this, here comes another. So let me just finish off one thing about Rocky. I doubt that him, his bouncer, or anyone in his entourage wanted things to go down the way they did. I think it is pretty inexcusable that they end up beating that other dude so savagely. But I will also say in the videos, how he sort of interacts with them is clearly not in a let's solve this amicably way. It's in a I felt super provoked and I'm gonna make sure that you guys don't get away with this sort of. But hey, if you are in the wrong place at the wrong time and someone just lifts you up by the neck and breaks your headphones in the process, or at least damages them, you'd probably be pissed about that too. So if anything, the most damning thing to me, but also not surprising in the least, is the misrepresentation of what happened. Like for ASAP Rocky just to claim in his little Instagram posts about it, saying like, hey, this dude just followed us and we don't know why. Sure, maybe he wasn't around when the bouncer manhandled him, but then that's his security crew fucking up bad. So yeah, now ASAP Rocky has been let out. Yeah, he's of course flown back to the U.S., but apparently the case isn't, there hasn't been a judgment yet. Having seen what I've seen, it seems to me that some sort of reprimand or some sort of reparations should be made on behalf of ASAP Rocky to that other guy, despite him also coming off as a bit of a douchebag. He did not, I would say, earn that severe savage beating they gave him. Or he didn't deserve it, at least. All right, and now I've gained a couple of listeners and lost a couple of listeners. I wanted to talk a little bit about, I forget what triggered it, but it was something about a reward, I think. But I thought, let's take a nice Unzi tune, since we have so many in the Slagon household. Sonic Wanderer, Leah, Morty, well, Ziona, of course, also Xenomorph. I don't know if Giertelta is how I pronounce that properly. But hey, guys, we're gonna do this. This is a classic. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but I'm gonna make this noise, and maybe that'll clue you in. Maybe that'll hey, look, if you've been listening to Slay Radio for long enough, you should know what that is. Take it away, DHS. talking about, LP Tip?
La musica è una cosa talmente astratta. Che cos'è? È l'espressione del silenzio, la musica. E infatti nell'elettronica in generale è proprio interessante il rapporto, soprattutto nel digitale, che c'è con il silenzio, perché se questa affermazione è vera, il silenzio che sta nelle interfacce digitali.
So that, all right, yeah, I get what you're saying, dude. Yeah, no, yeah, I get it. I totally get it. That was DHS with Blowing, Serious Uns edit, just for me, and for you. But, requested by me, and played by me. Well, let's just say, completely uninterrupted, played by me. No pause or stop buttons, at least in this near vicinity, were pressed or depressed or interacted with in any shape, way, or form while that song was playing. God, with that out of the way, here's a little other rant I wanted to go on. When I get tired enough, this may sound ridiculous, but I can totally get behind people who do Let's Plays or even stream a video game, because yes, even I find that interesting. But I can also see how some are like, man, that's the fucking most boring shit in the world. Why are you watching someone play a game when you could be playing something yourself? And honestly, usually it has to do with me just being too tired, me not being able or ready to I guess, interact enough. But here's the thing that still bothers me. So one of the people I've been watching recently is a guy entitled Ohmwrecker, and I think he sort of climbed to fame at some point. I don't know if PewDiePie does this still, but at some point PewDiePie actually gave some free shoutouts to people. So he would, like, when he randomly happened upon certain channels, he would kind of push them a little. And when I say a little, mention them once, as far as I know. Or maybe he's mentioned this guy multiple times, but he certainly mentioned him once. And I think that sort of got him up to a certain plateau, whereas now he has, I think, like 2 million subscribers or something, which, is pretty significant in the grand scheme of things. And the thing that really got to me recently was I generally appreciate that he isn't a damn like and subscribe whore like a lot of other people, even though, he mentions it as much as the next person, or not as much as the next person, but he does mention it a few times. It's great, isn't it? When someone says one thing and then 2 seconds later they say the exact opposite. That's like a clear insight into how brilliant they are. Anyway, what did get to me though was he was recently celebrating his 100th video on a certain game, Dead by Daylight, which is quite entertaining to watch. Asymmetrical multiplayer, 1v4, 1 killer, 4 survivors, quite interesting. But here's where it kind of breaks down for me. The wording, the wordage perhaps he used in that video was like, oh, here we are celebrating my 100th video, and I wanted to do something special for you guys, so here's a t-shirt you can buy. That just does not sit well with me. Like, it's like, I wanted to do something for you, so here's a fucking piece of merchandise you can purchase from me. That is, to me, that's like, I think it's fine to instead say, hey, I wanted to commemorate this occasion, so we've come up with a really cool t-shirt design, and if you want to commemorate it too, or if you want to be part of the gang, or what the fuck, young kids are doing these days through their YouTube communities, fine, do that. But saying I wanted to do something for you, it's this grand gift from the heavens above, that yes, finally, oh God, can I finally buy another t-shirt? Man, just take my money. Because if there's one thing I don't have enough of in my life, it's t-shirts. God, it's just calm down. Let's just chill out a little bit. LP Chip, you also requested this thing here, Puffy 64 with Last Ninja, The Sewers Loader. Let's take it away. and a little bit of fade out at the end there. That was Puffy64, Last Ninja 2, The Sewers Loader Remix. And that was just a dramatic pause. Just so you know, that wasn't my headset fucking up. That was just me pausing for effect. Let's move on to the next request. This time, Ziona, who kind of threw in a bunch of stuff. And I see Serdan has also made a request. I'll certainly get around to that. It makes, now I'm kind of wondering, thinking back, Zatufi, I might have a theory to who that might be. Shout outs to Bidey. Anyway, Serdan wanted something, but in the meantime, Ziona, you also wrote, cheers to my new collaborator who released a thing last time in 2014 before, so I would request antics from the noisy bloke Sonic Wanderer. So apparently, I guess the talk of the town is that Ziona and Sonic Wanderer is doing a little bit of a collab. Cool. Looking forward to that for damn sure. I'm also hoping to showcase some of the stuff that I've been working on. The idea was that the Massive Comeback Special would have these features in them, or in it, but hey, that kind of didn't turn out to be working. Unfortunately, I think, so maybe I should leave this for the end of the show, because I want to talk a little bit about what sort of show schedule you can expect from me moving forward. But I guess it can't hurt to repeat twice. So I'll give the short version now, which is much more sporadic. Like, I don't expect there to go another 7 or 8 months since the last show. I definitely expect it to be sooner. But these shows, 2 hours doesn't seem like a lot. But it, the prep time up to the show, especially when I don't do them as often as I do, and the show itself is not like, it's not so much that I would use these hours to work. It's definitely more that I would have worked up until the show and then spent these hours relaxing, whereas now I'm actually doing a show, which is, also somewhat time consuming and energy consuming and blah, blah, blah. And again, don't get me wrong, I am very grateful for having this platform, and I certainly hope to build a somewhat bigger community. And then I can, share a reward with you guys. You can buy a goddamn fucking t-shirt. Fuck. I hate that sort of shit. Ziona, you wanted Sonic Wanderer with antics back from the dead. Let's get a few of our frustrations out by listening to a bit of Unzi stuff from that bloke wandering around who's a bit noisy, as said by Boz. Sonic Wanderer, aka Ziona's upcoming collaborator, it would seem. Don't know of any pseudonyms or aliases for Sonic Wanderer Antics. Sorry, well, I mean for his name. His name isn't Sonic Wanderer Antics, it's Sonic Wanderer. So yeah, but thanks for requesting that, Ziona. And before I forget, because man, I'm not very good at remembering, there are a couple more shoutouts, because apparently Gear Telta has left the awesome boss-ass party happening at Slagons. And apparently now Ace and Uthar have left. I was going to do a shout-out, but Maltus is still there. And I remember meeting Maltus, stand-up, lovely German dude, who, as far as I know, tends to send Boz the odd case of beer, and even sent some beer ahead of schedule for the gathering. So, very nice gentleman, yes. Fun. Hopefully they're still having a good time. That's a short, I mean, I guess the show's only 2 hours, but I guess I'm a little surprised at how short people are staying, coming over and leaving. What are you doing to them, Slagon? It's not, I mean, I remember you as being very hospitable, so maybe something's changed. Either you're now a monster, or you were briefly human, and while I was there, and then you turned back into a monster. Those are the only two options I see. Prove me wrong. Right, let's see. What was it that I was going to... Wasn't I going to rant about something? Man, that's the problem with doing, these kind of off-the-cuff shows. I usually have a script, but I thought, screw it, throw that away. Oh, but there was actually a thing here. I think that was LP Chip who asked, what is probably... Let's just say this is almost trademarked by Boz, his sound effect, burning question, what the plans is and future shows, and become whether or not I'll do shows often or not so often. And the short answer, as I said before, is somewhat more infrequent, but I'll talk a little bit about upcoming features, I suppose. But I don't see a reason to do that quite yet. We're entering into the fourth and final quarter of the show. Which means there's really only 30 minutes left. And yes, as Siona points out, Slagon is an alien. And yeah, maybe we should play a bit of Aliens. Think about that. In the meantime, Serdan, you wanted a bit of XX Dusty XX. That's that name. I'm going to say this now. That's like... Whenever Giant Bomb, this other podcast / gaming website, when I listen to those dudes, whenever they want to reference like the average online gamer, it's always more or less XX Naruto fan 272XX. Like, that's Dusty. If you ever listen to this, that's what those two X's, that's what I'm thinking of. You're like, you just joined the internet and you're like, XX cool dude 94 XX. But anyway, Serdan, you wanted XX Dusty XX with echoing 2019 metal version. So take it away, XX Naruto fan 264 XX. bit of XX Dusty with the echoing 2019 metal version, and I think maybe a little bit of audio leaked through from another YouTube tab I had opened. I hope not, because the thing I was about to make mention of is some of you listening in may well know the angry video game nerd who, you know, was one of the early YouTubers kind of jumping on, hey, let's do satirical angry video game review stuff. And man, has he, you know, started to make a living out of that. What's more surprising to me is he's now actually starting to also get like maybe what you could call C, D, or E list celebrities into his videos, like Macaulay Culkin as well as Gilbert Gottfried. If for those who don't know Gilbert Gottfried, he's basically like, he is the personification of angry Asian guy, and he has a very incredibly distinct voice. It's so raspy. I don't even know. He's like, I can't even believe this is what's going on. Like, I don't think I don't even do it justice, but he has such a weird, it's such a notable voice, and it's so strange to me. Like, I heard that Macaulay Culkin is sort of doing the rounds on YouTube, probably to plug something, and I guess Gilbert Gottfried must be as well. I did not finish watching the video he's in just because I don't know, I feel like the angry video game nerd videos were somehow a bit more compelling in the old days. Like, his first 30 or 40 are definitely the best because they sort of jump and stamp on a bunch of really, really old, you know, known but fairly crappy games. Whereas now he's had to branch, because he's, you know, been doing these videos for so long, he's had to branch out quite a bit. So don't get me wrong, he's still reviewing crap, but I don't know, somehow it's hard for me to put a finger on exactly what it is that isn't as interesting anymore. Maybe it's because this is going to sound very, very mean, but it's almost as if, as his talent has grown in terms of cinematography and his ambition has gone up as well, the craft has suffered a bit. Like, it's actually more funny when some of it is kind of more raw. Like, some of his best videos, I would highly recommend, is if you Google AVGN, 4 letters, and then Die Hard, or Bugs Bunny. I think it's Bugs Bunny's Birthday Blowout. Like, the fact that he manages to rope a few friends into doing this, you know, the show with him, is fucking hilarious. Like, some of that is really funny, stupid, lowbrow writing. But I don't know, there's the videos now are like not paced as fast. They're sort of like, hey, here is the line in the script that I'm supposed to read. And then the other person will go, well, here is my response to that line in the same script. I don't know, it felt more emotional, I suppose, or more real. I don't know. At the same time, it's a goddamn show on YouTube. But it is kind of funny to see like D, E, or maybe even F level celebrities get in on the YouTube game to kind of, you know, push something. Because, hey, that's where the audience is these days. If you want to push something, it's probably way easier to work with a collaborator who's really eager to meet you and do something with you than to go to a television network that's like, well, great, so you want to run an ad, or, you know, are you paying us, or what's this about? All right, there was another request that I wanted to play as soon as I saw it. It was from LP Chip. Oh, and by the way, the last request there was from Serdan, so thank you again, Serdan, for requesting that. I wanted to throw in a Peter Van Konken Funken with my number is 64.
I love you, baby. Baby, give me your number. Reflex C64.
I'm thinking about you tonight. You're always in my mind. I'm thinking about you tonight. You're always in my mind. I'm thinking about you tonight. You're always in my mind. I'm thinking about you tonight. You're always in my mind.
Tonight.
We call the handsome time we made. No one can catch me. It's my heart to take. Your love is not first. I know his name. All the things I'll be catching. Never had to love. I'm too tired. Oh, I close my eyes when I turn my light.
Number is C64.
Yep, his number is indeed C64. I think that tune is so goddamn awesome. Thanks very much to LP Chip for requesting that. And I should also say thanks a ton to Shargo to requesting. You requested so much stuff. I feel a little bad because you may have noticed that I've only played one or two, maybe even just one of the requests you made, which makes me feel really terrible. But I do try to sort of spread it out, and every now and again, it other things will catch my attention. So do not take that as a sign that I'm unappreciative of the requests. Shargo made sure to kind of fill things up in the beginning, so I wasn't lacking for time. Now we're coming in on the last quarter in terms of minutes of the show, so we really don't. There's not much time left. But I did notice that Ziona said that, well, she writes, and I quote, "If you have a time slot, could you squeeze in Forever Alien 2 a.m. mix by Defunk? The alien loves it," with a little heart at the end there. And of course, I can't say no to you, Ziona. And also anything that makes the alien happy is good with me. So let's take that, and when we come back after that, it should be in about 6 or 7 minutes, then we will likely be winding down after I have a bit of a chat of what is going to happen in the future. So take it away, Defunk, with Forever Alien 2 a.m. mix. Hello, Bitey. And that was a little bit of the funk with Forever Alien, the 2 a.m. mix. And just as Bitey popped in, so did Maltus. Hey Maltus, long time no see. Thanks for joining us here at the end of the show. Speaking of shows, so going off of what LP Chip mentioned earlier, yes, what's going to happen? How is all of this going to shake out? Well, I'm still developing Plan Mix Play, and I've recently, well, within the last couple of months, hit a new milestone. So I have new features to show off, which I'm really excited to do. They aren't polished quite to the point of being showtime ready, but they're not far off. They're like, if I had let's say an entire free week, I could pull it off. But, work and money and all that, making a living in today's society is not necessarily the easiest thing in the world. So I can't exactly speak as to when that's going to happen. And I can't even necessarily speak as to when exactly the next show will be. And, Maltus, I'm sure you've been having your ear to the speakers, hopefully. But it's nice of you to join us on the live chat. And I'm pretty excited to see it still holding up. Like, part of me doing the show today was worrying that some of this crap that I built about a year ago now would have fallen apart. But apart from the HTTPS thing, of course, not being a thing, which is a bad thing, the rest of it seems to be working out well. I'm eager to see if the credit sequence also holds up, passes mustard, as it would say. Is it passes muster or mustard? I've always understood it as passes mustard. Maybe that's wrong. Mysteries in life. The last request I'm going to play is one of Shargo's requests, because he requested so many things, and I feel it only appropriate. Although I will mention that Maltus, of course, throws in his annual, monthly, weekly, daily, hourly, minutely request for a gagung. No, Maltus. It's a bad Maltus. I'd whack you on the nose with a newspaper if I had one. But I don't. So, Shargo, among many of the other things you wanted, MRT with Tristesse. And I figured I have another Tristesse song that's a great wind down tune, another version. So I figured this would be a great wind down tune as well. And Maltus also inquires as to whether or not I'm still in Australia. And the answer is yes, I am. And you're correct, Shargo. The user list not being updated live is also a bit of a wonky thing that hasn't been dealt with. But yes, still in Australia, still broadcasting from down under. But I am going to wrap up the show now because I've run out of I ran out of clever things to say at the start of the show, but now I've become too embarrassed to continue saying uninformed things and non-interesting things. So, with that in mind, I'm going to put on MRT with Tristesse. Thank you everyone who's hung out in the chat and been here. Specifically, I'm refreshing the page just to make sure I get everyone in here. Shargo, LP Chip, Ziona, Bidey, and Maltus. Much appreciate you guys being on Plan Mix Play, but also, of course, appreciate everyone who's been hanging out on EFNet as well, on Slay Radio, the chat channel you can join, which I probably didn't plug in the beginning. Leah was also here for a short time. Beardy apparently has just joined. Thank you all for hanging out and catching this show, even though it's been 7 months. I do hope and expect it to be a little less time. Maybe I would say at most a month, maybe shorter. It all depends on how quickly I get these features up and running, but hopefully sooner rather than later. So with that in mind, I wish all of you an excellent Sunday. Most of you probably have an afternoon to go. So I want to say thanks to everyone listening in. Apparently one last update from Casa de Slagon, which is that Boz and Votega is now joining them. So cool. And Boz, hit me up with that sweet time slot. I know you have saved away just for me so I can join Boz Radio as well. I remember speaking at great length about this with you in person. So if you don't remember it, probably just, maybe a bit of a drinking problem. Who knows? Yeah, I don't want to say I've already said too much. I'm a bullshitter, make up lots of nonsense. Anyway, take it away, MRT with Tristesse. I hope I will see all of you real soon again. Can't say when, can't say where, but before pretty soon, my friend. Take care, everybody.